Welcome to Forbidden Texts. What you are about to see may shock you. It may surprise you, but will definitely challenge everything you thought you knew. Stick around until the end to discover the forbidden knowledge that they don't want you to have.
You've been lied to, not just by governments, not just by media, but by reality itself. What if the life you're living, the job, the routines, the goals, the endless scrolling, is all part of a code designed to keep you asleep? What if the world as you know it is a sophisticated illusion, and the ones who built it never wanted you to know? Welcome to Forbidden Texts, where we explore ancient knowledge and forgotten wisdom. This isn't about sight anymore. It's about your soul, your mind, and the prison they've been trapped in since the day you were born. You've felt it, haven't you? That low hum of dissatisfaction. The quiet voice in the back of your mind whispering that something is off. That this, whatever this is, can't be all there is. That's not depression. That's not anxiety. That's the Matrix glitching, and your spirit noticing. The movie The Matrix wasn't fiction. It was a message disguised as entertainment. A modern myth to prepare the few who were ready to hear it. The red pill, that wasn't just a cinematic metaphor. It was a symbol of something ancient, something spiritual. A choice: stay in the illusion, or wake up to the terrifying freedom of truth. Because this illusion, it goes deeper than wires and screens. It's been architected into culture, language, religion, and even your own self-image. Every institution you've been taught to trust is part of the code. Every label you've accepted, man, woman, poor, smart, broken, is part of the design. They need you to believe it, because belief is energy. And energy is what they feed on. They didn't need chains. They just needed your consent. So who are they? And what is this illusion really made of? We'll get there. But first, you need to understand how the Matrix was built, not with technology, but with ideas. You need to know how ancient teachings warned of this long before the digital age, and why the real war was never outside. Keep watching, because once you see it, you can never unsee it. And if you're still here by the end, you'll know how to break free. It didn't start with Hollywood. The idea of a false reality, an illusion masking the truth, has haunted humanity for thousands of years. Plato called it the cave. He imagined people shackled in a dark cave since birth, only able to see shadows projected on a wall. Those shadows became their reality. They never questioned what was behind them, never asked who lit the fire. And when one prisoner broke free, saw the real world, and came back to tell the others, they mocked him, called him crazy, violent, dangerous. Sound familiar? Today, we're still in that cave. Only now, the shadows come from screens, from curated feeds, tailored news, algorithms that know you better than you know yourself. You're told what to want, what to fear, what to believe. But it's all just shadows on a wall, manufactured, filtered, safe. René Descartes, centuries later, wondered if everything he experienced was a deception. He imagined an evil demon feeding him false sensations, false thoughts, a false world. He couldn't trust anything except the fact that he was thinking, that he was aware, and that awareness was the key. Fast forward to now, scientists talk openly about the simulation hypothesis, that our universe could be code. that our physics, our time, even our death might be programmed parameters. When you hear people like Elon Musk say, "We're probably in a simulation," you're not hearing theory. You're hearing disclosure. But here's the thing, it's not digital. Not really. It's energetic. The Matrix isn't some alien supercomputer. It's the collective human mind. It's a frequency field generated by fear, ignorance, and disconnection. Every lie you believe, every trauma you carry, every identity you cling to adds more code, more density, more illusion. The ancient Hindus called it Maya, the veil, a divine illusion that keeps souls locked in the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Buddhists saw through it with meditation. Gnostics said the world was created by a false god, a deceiver, and only inner knowledge could liberate the soul. They all knew. The illusion isn't new. It's just more sophisticated now, flashier, harder to detect, and far more addictive. Because you're not meant to question it. You're meant to love it, to defend it, to mistake it for reality and attack anyone who threatens that comfort. But that discomfort you feel, that ache for something real, that's not weakness. It's the beginning of your escape. Stay with it. The architects of this illusion are about to be exposed. And once you see them, everything changes. You've heard the phrase, the system is rigged. But what if the system isn't just corrupt? What if it was designed to keep you small? Let's talk about the architects. Not men in suits behind closed doors, not just politicians or billionaires, though they play their roles. No, the real architects of the illusion operate on a level far more subtle, far more invasive. They don't just control laws, they control perception. These are ancient systems, programs embedded into human consciousness for thousands of years. Their foundation, fear, guilt, division. They need you anxious. They need you obedient. And they especially need you disconnected from your inner power. Because a person who remembers who they truly are becomes unpredictable, unprogrammable, uncontrollable. Look at the structure of modern life, education, media, religion, and government. At first glance, they seem separate. But they all share a common goal: to define reality for you, to program your identity, your morality, your worth, your limits. Schools teach conformity. They reward obedience over insight. Ask too many questions, and you're labeled disruptive, creative, problematic. Religions, they promise salvation if you follow the rules. If you surrender your direct connection to the divine and place it in the hands of a middleman. Suddenly, God is external, distant, watching. And media, that's the crowning jewel of control. Not because it lies blatantly, but because it tells you what to focus on. Your attention is currency, and they spend it for you. Every headline, every crisis, every scandal, distraction. These aren't accidental. They're interlocking gears in a machine designed to keep your consciousness trapped in low vibration states. States where you're reactive, divided, easily manipulated. Because here's what they don't want you to realize: you're not a powerless human waiting to be saved. You are a powerful consciousness having a temporary human experience. And that changes everything. But as long as you believe you're just a name, a body, a number in the system, you'll keep playing the part they wrote for you. You'll defend the illusion, even fight for it. That's how deep it goes. This isn't about conspiracy. This is about awareness. Because once you know how the trap is built, you can start looking for the exit. And the exit It's not outside of you. It's inside. But before you walk through it, you need to see just how tightly the illusion holds you. The next signs aren't subtle. They're everywhere. And once you notice them, you'll never see the world the same again. You ever notice how reality sometimes slips, like when you walk into a room and forget why? Or see a word you know was spelled differently yesterday? Or when a song lyric you've known your whole life suddenly changes? You chalk it up to coincidence, bad memory, or a trick of the mind. But what if it's something else? What if those are the cracks? They call them glitches in the matrix. Moments when the illusion fails to fully load. Moments when the program falters and lets something bleed through. And if you're paying attention, you can catch them. These aren't accidents. They're signals. Think about déjà vu. That eerie, impossible feeling that you've been in this exact moment before. Some say it's memory, but others, those who've stepped outside the illusion, know it's more. It's the program looping, a moment repeating, a flaw in the script. Then there's synchronicity, numbers that keep showing up, people calling just as you think of them, events lining up in ways that defy logic. These aren't just weird coincidences. They're reminders. The illusion wants to be seen. And your consciousness is beginning to tune into something deeper, something real. And what about the Mandela effect? Entire groups of people remembering a different reality, a different spelling, a different event, a different outcome. And it's not just one or two examples. It's thousands, across time, across geography. It's not a shared delusion. It's a bleed through from parallel timelines, residue from shifting dimensions, proof that reality is more malleable than we're told. But instead of asking questions, most people laugh it off. Because the program trains us to fear the unknown, to dismiss what doesn't fit, to protect the illusion at all costs. But you're not like most people. You're still here, listening, watching, because you've seen it in dreams that feel more real than waking life, in the way time sometimes stretches and contracts, in the moments where the world feels hollow, like a set piece, like a performance. That's not paranoia. That's awareness waking up. And once you start to notice these cracks, you realize the illusion isn't perfect. It can be hacked. It can be broken. It can be escaped. But escaping means shedding everything you thought was true. And for most, that's terrifying. Because the next step, that's when it gets personal. Not just seeing the matrix, but realizing it lives inside you. And to wake up, you have to confront the parts of you that wanted to stay asleep. Waking up isn't bliss. It's brutal. It's the moment you look around at your life, your job, your relationships, your thoughts, and realize none of it was really you. It was programming, expectations, trauma disguised as personality. You weren't living. You were acting, playing a role written by everyone but you. This is where the illusion fights back hardest. Because once you start to question it, it doesn't just let go. It digs in. This is what mystics call the dark night of the soul, the spiritual crash, the death of everything you thought you were. It feels like falling apart, but really, it's your true self breaking out of the prison of identity.
A quick message. This space has become something truly special for many of us. A community of people on a shared journey of spiritual growth, healing, and awakening. Your comments and stories inspire me every day, and it's clear there's so much more we can create together, especially since this path can feel lonely at times. That's why we've created a spiritual space on Patreon, a sanctuary for deeper connection, exclusive content, and meaningful conversations with others from this channel who share your journey. Together, we can build something uplifting, authentic, and spiritually powerful. If this resonates with you and you'd like to be part of something bigger, whatever you're going through, you'll find the link in the description or pinned in the comments. Your membership not only helps support the channel, but also helps grow this beautiful community. Let's create something amazing together.
You feel lost, disoriented, detached from everything that once made you feel safe. The mask is slipping, and beneath it, raw awareness, unfiltered truth. It's terrifying, it's liberating, and it's absolutely necessary, because the ego, the false self, is the final jailer. It was built to help you survive this illusion. It learned how to please, how to perform, how to defend. But the ego doesn't care about freedom. It cares about control, certainty, safety, and freedom doesn't offer that. So when you wake up, your ego panics. It tells you you're going crazy, that you're wrong, that awakening is dangerous. It clings to the old story, even if it's killing you, because at least the pain was familiar. But pain is the invitation. It's the system breaking down. And in the ruins of that breakdown, something else can rise. Stillness, presence, awareness without labels. You begin to notice the space between thoughts, the silence underneath the noise. You start to feel a connection, not to a belief system, but to everything. The illusion begins to dissolve not with force, but with clarity. You realize you are not your mind, not your name, not your story. You are the witness, the one who sees, the one who is never asleep, just distracted. And once you've seen that, the matrix starts to lose its grip. Not because you've escaped it physically, but because you've stopped believing it's real. And that belief was always the power source. But now that you've unplugged, the question becomes, what do you do with that freedom? And more importantly, how do you stay awake in a world designed to put you back to sleep? Unplugging is only the beginning. Once the illusion collapses, you're left in a strange space between worlds. No longer asleep, but not fully embodied in truth. This is where most people get lost. Floating, searching for meaning, tempted to rebuild the same cage they just broke out of. But this is the moment everything changes. Because now, you start to reclaim. Piece by piece, you take back what was always yours, your energy, your attention, your power. You stop leaking it into fear, into systems, into people who thrive on your confusion. You start redirecting it inward, and something ancient awakens. You stop reacting. You start responding. Meditation becomes more than a practice. It becomes a remembering. You realize you're not sitting down to quiet the mind. You're sitting down to step behind it, to observe it. And when you do that long enough, something wild happens. You find yourself watching the program from outside the code. You feel the shift in frequency. You recognize the low vibration of fear, shame, anger, and you stop feeding it. You choose differently, thought by thought, word by word, choice by choice. That's real rebellion. Breath becomes sacred. Nature becomes church. Silence becomes medicine. And then you learn the real mechanics of the illusion that everything is energy. That your thoughts carry frequency. That your words cast spells. That your beliefs literally shape the reality around you. You're not just unplugged. You're now the coder. And once you see how frequency works, you stop chasing. You start aligning. You stop trying to force the world to change, and you change your vibration, and the world begins to move around you. This is what the mystics meant when they said, "As within, so without." Manifestation isn't some new age fantasy. It's quantum law. When your inner world changes, your outer world has to follow. Because the matrix isn't a place, it's a mirror. And now that you're awake, the mirror reflects a different truth. One that doesn't depend on permission. One that doesn't require approval. One where your very presence becomes a disruption to the program. You become dangerous, not with violence, but with vision. That's the part no one talks about. Because real awakening doesn't end in a forest chanting mantras or floating above your problems. It begins when you walk back into the world with eyes that see through the illusion and choose to live differently. Not escaping it, but transcending it. This is the rise of New Earth consciousness. Not a place, a frequency, a wave being. It's when people begin to remember, not in words, but in feeling, that they're connected to everything. That separation was a lie. That competition, hierarchy, division, all artifacts of a dying system. In New Earth consciousness, love isn't an emotion. It's a field, a state of coherence. And when you hold that field, others feel it, even if they don't understand why. You stop needing to convince anyone. Your energy speaks first. And suddenly, other awakened ones start appearing. Quietly. In the crowd. In the office. In your family. Eyes that hold recognition. Words that carry weight. The collective begins to shift. Not through force, but through frequency. Through presence. Old systems begin to collapse, not because they were attacked, but because no one is feeding them anymore. The game unravels when the players stop believing the rules. This is the revolution you were never supposed to see. A silent, unstoppable remembering. Not of facts, or history, or ideology, but of truth, of being, of soul. And from that space, you build something real. A relationship not based on wounds, but on resonance. A purpose not built on survival, but on alignment. A life not shaped by fear, but by vision. This isn't theory. It's already happening. And the ones who feel it, they don't need to prove anything. They just keep building. Quietly. Powerfully. Together. The Matrix can't predict this. It can't contain it. It wasn't programmed for a reality where people wake up and don't go back to sleep. But now, and soon, you'll realize something deeper still. You were never just trying to escape the illusion. You came here to change it. You made it. Most don't. Most feel the glitch, the echo of truth, the strange knowing, and turn away. Too risky, too painful, too real. But you stayed, you listened, and something inside you shifted. Maybe it was a crack, maybe it was an explosion, but now you see it. The illusion, the trap, the story you were handed and told to live without question. And now, none of it was ever you. Not the fear, not the shame, not the limits you carried like scars. You were never broken. You were buried under layers of programming, belief, and noise. But now you remember. That stillness beneath the chaos. That spark that never left. The part of you that knew, even in the darkest moments, that you were meant for something more. You were here to fit in. You were here to wake up. You weren't here to survive. You were here to transcend. The Matrix was real, but it was never stronger than your awareness. It was never bigger than your soul. And the moment you stopped believing in it, it began to dissolve. This journey doesn't end here, because now the real work begins. Not to fix the world, but to embody the frequency of truth so fully that the world begins to shift around you. Not by force, by resonance. You'll still see the program. You'll still hear the noise. But you'll know it's just shadows on the cave wall. And you're no longer chained. You are the light that exposes the illusion. You are the signal breaking through the static. You are the glitch that becomes the awakening. You're not lost. You're not broken. You're not late. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And the veil, it's gone. Welcome back to reality. There's one more thing you need to know. The Matrix didn't just hide truth. It hid you from yourself. It trained you to look outward for answers, for love, for validation. It made you doubt your own voice. Second, guess your intuition. It taught you to trust authority more than instinct. Screens more than silence. Systems more than spirit. But now the mirror's shattered. And what's left isn't confusion. It's clarity. You see it in the still moments. When you're not scrolling, not performing, not chasing, just being. You feel it in your body when you stop numbing and start listening. You hear it in the quiet, the real you, the one that was never asleep, only waiting. And now that you've woken up, you can't go back. Not because someone told you not to, because you don't want to. You felt something deeper. A frequency beyond fear. A knowing that doesn't need proof. A trust that lives in yourselves. That's the real awakening. Not knowledge, not facts, not secrets, but remembrance. The Matrix was never a place. It was a forgetting. And awakening is simply remembering what was always true. You are infinite. You are consciousness having a human moment. You are here to create, not to conform. To feel, not to numb. To live, not to obey. So when you walk back into the world, into the noise, the screens, the shadows, you do it differently. You see the game board, but you're not a piece anymore. You become the player, the observer, the architect of a new reality. And when others are ready, they'll find you, not because you told them, but because your energy speaks the language of truth. And truth, once remembered, spreads like wildfire. So keep walking. Keep remembering. The Matrix was real. But now, so are you. And that's the part they feared the most. Not that you'd expose some hidden elite. Not that you'd decode every secret symbol or conspiracy. But that you'd wake up and remember your power. Because when one person wakes up, it creates a ripple. And when that ripple hits another, it becomes a wave. A quiet revolution begins, not in governments or protests, but in hearts, in homes, in everyday choices made from awareness instead of automation. It's not loud. It's not flashy, but it's unstoppable. You stop fighting the illusion because fighting it gives it weight. Instead, you outgrow it. You become the glitch that can't be explained, the piece that can't be shaken, the soul that no longer plays by their rules. You love without attachment. You speak without fear. You move with purpose, even when you're still. That's what true awakening looks like. Not a spotlight, not a stage, just a human being fully here, fully aware, unshaken by the program. And as that frequency spreads, the old systems start to fracture, because their foundation was always dependency. and you're no longer dependent. You don't need permission to be whole. You don't need validation to be real. You don't need belief to access truth. You've seen behind the curtain. You've walked through the illusion. You've remembered what you are. And no force, no system, no matrix, no architect can ever take that from you again. Because truth doesn't need to be defended. It just needs to be lived. Now go live it.